Welcome from my slice of life, where I'm helping to bring more joy into yours. This is the My Slice of Life podcast. Hello and a very warm welcome to you. This week we are looking at 5 ways to find more joy in your back garden. Okay, so we are always being told, get outside more, do more in your garden, do more in your space. But what do you do when you get there? I've come up with 5 ideas to help you. I hope you like them. The first one I was thinking of, if you have a shed or a building outdoors of any sort that you have in your garden or your yard, why not grow raspberries alongside of it? This is something that I do and I really enjoy it. I use autumn fruiting raspberries. They're the easiest ones you can grow. Once they're finished, just cut all the stalks down and then in the spring they'll reappear. It's brilliant. You just let them grow up, put in a string round them once they get a little taller and then they don't blow over in the wind. They'll keep bringing you raspberries. You just keep picking. Like I say, cut them all down at the end of the season and then next year it'll just come up again. The only thing you'll have to watch for is how many stalks, I want to call it. I think there's a better word for it. It's not coming to me right now. But you know the green shoots that'll come up. As they grow and they get stronger, you'll find you get more and more shoots, which sounds great, but if they all develop and they all have fruits, you might find it a little tricky to harvest, so you might want to thin that out a little bit. Apart from that, it's fantastic, go for it. Any building you have a think. I would start with raspberries. Like I say, they're easy, the autumn ones. If you can think of other things to plant along the side of your buildings, do that. You can always put strings along to tie your fruit in or other plants that you're going to put in there. But give it a go. Brighten up your buildings using the plants. The second tip that I'm wanting to give you today is see everything as a potential plant pot. Now we've all heard about, growing strawberries in Wellington boots and things like that. But I have some just old plastic tubs and I thought I'm going to try them. Put it this way, if you can drill drainage holes in it, you can probably grow in it. So I've got salads grown in tubs, spring onions are fantastic grown in just plastic tubs. Cardboard box. I did see somewhere, I was on a day out and I saw they were just using a normal cardboard box. They'd lined it. In fact, did they even line it? I don't think they did. I think some of them they had, but most of them they hadn't actually. They just filled it with compost and planted straight in the cardboard box. Because you think about it, if you're going to compost it at the end, it doesn't matter. You can just chuck the whole thing in. So a cardboard box is quite handy. I've done an experiment with that this year. It seems to be working great. Because we all know about using like yoghurt pots and margarine tubs, and let's be honest, the margarine tubs are an absolute pain in the rear end to clean out. But before you throw out any tubs or boxes, or just have a think, could I grow something in this? Chances are you probably could. Give it a go. The other thing to think about as well, old furniture. I don't mean antique, but maybe you've got an old table and you think it just looks rubbish. Well, can you do something with that? Maybe you could make a hole in the middle of that and put a plant pot in it. A ladder. You can put climbers along it, hang baskets off it. Think the only limit you have here is your imagination. The third tip I have for you today is to mix veg and herbs in with your flowers. Forget the rules you've been told. If you've got a space and you think a plant will grow in it, put it in and give it a go. What about lettuce, spring onions, French beans? They're quite good for climbing up. Parsley, courgettes, whatever you fancy. Stick it in and give it a go. What you might find is because your veg is hidden among your flowers, the usual pests that go for it don't seem to find it so easily. Either they can't smell it or they just, I don't know, it seems to be they're looking for something else and they don't find it. Plus, don't forget things like peas, courgettes, anything that flowers. The flowers are fantastic, so why not show them off? Why we always hide these things in a veg patch? Stick it in the flower patch as well. Another little tip for getting more joy out of your back garden. Don't forget your small garden friends. And I'm saying friends because let's face it, I'm talking about the wee bugs here. Not always my favourite, but I have been training myself over the years to not flinch every time I see a beetle run out or something a little bit creepy. But I think if we take more time just to watch them, it's like another little world going on. You know, if you move a stone and a beetle runs out and he's looking for cover, just try and spend a little bit more time appreciating this little world that's going on underneath our feet, which normally we don't give a second thought to. You'd be surprised just how long you can spend watching these things and enjoying watching what they're doing. My last tip for today to get more joy from your garden: take time to look up. Watch the birds. Don't just listen to them as you're weeding and think, oh yeah, that sounds nice. If you hear a bird singing, look for it, find it, watch it, sing back to it and see what happens. It's really cool. There's a story that I've put in the blog post about this, and there was one time I was up at the allotment and I was just standing there. I was watching a couple of buzzards that were flying above my head, and one of them came down and he flew so close to me I could actually hear his wings flapping. It was fantastic. I love buzzards, they're great big birds. But take a wee bit more time just to look up and appreciate. Again, it's like another little world, that world above us, all the dramas and the triumphs that goes on above us. Take a few minutes just to watch them. Put out a bird feeder, encourage the birds to come into your garden. And, you know, a garden shouldn't just be work, shouldn't just be seen as a chore. You know, I've got to cut the grass, I've got to weed, I've got to this, I've got to that. We should be enjoying our gardens. You know, it's for you. Take some time out and appreciate not just the work that you're doing, but appreciate all the other things that are going on in your garden. All those other little dramas and lives that are going on in your garden. So that was just a quick roundup of my 5 ways to get more joy out of your back garden. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks very much for listening. So until next time, you take care of your wee self. Bye! Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the My Slice of Life podcast. Don't forget to look up the blog. It's at myslice.wordpress.com. Also the YouTube channel, which is at My Slice Channel. And if you would like to become a patron of the show, go to patreon.com/myslice. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.